Guys, welcome to Cellphone Association. If you're watching live, we wish you were here. Tonight we have a guest that has been a guest of honor before. He's been a good friend of mine since 2006, 2000, somewhere in there, 2007. And he's a speaker, a trainer, martial arts, 7th degree? Eighth degree. He keeps getting one more. Every time I say one, he says it's the next one up. 8th degree.
Next level.
Next level, there we go. Great family guy, just a heart of gold, consistent, a great friend. He's one of those people that'll drop everything, like so many of you guys in here, just drop everything and just go help somebody. And but you know, Brian has been. We're going to talk about his family, some of his story tonight, because he's a very successful entrepreneur. He's got a great business going. He's doing a lot of great things, but he came from some rough stuff. And some tough times and some tough experiences. Let's just jump in the deep end, Brian.
He's trying to make me cry, Rob.
You know, what's one of the toughest experiences that you encountered growing up? And I say one because I know there's been...
Yeah, I mean, probably is like 2 or 3 in the morning, hearing your brother or your sister screaming at the top of their lungs because my drunk mom was picking on that one that night, and we would all gather around that one and have to run out of the apartments to find somewhere to sleep till she, slept it off.
And how old were you during those times?
8, probably.
8?
Yeah.
What did you do at 8? I mean, obviously you couldn't maybe fend for yourself as well as a teenager or older. What did you do during those times, and how did you get through it?
Yeah, luckily, probably so I'm 8, my sister was 10, my brother was older than her at maybe 11, and my oldest brother was probably 12 or 13. So those 2 brothers ended up, kind of shielding us and taking the belt buckle or the stick or the whatever it was, taking the beatings.
So they would see the beatings coming and they would shield you.
Yeah. And my sister, who was a year and a half older than me, usually got it the worst because at the age of 5, she was 7, we were all in a car, 5 kids, my mom and her friend, and they were completely as drunk could be. But in North Carolina at the time, there's an ABC store, so you just can't go to 7-Eleven. You got to drive, 50 miles drunk to find the next booze. So we drove all this way, and then on the way back, my mom hit some railroad tracks, car flips several times. No one gets hurt except for my sister, who was never supposed to walk or talk again, but she ended up coming out of it somehow. Now she's got like the whole left side of her brain is just dead gray matter. But if you see her and talk to her, you wouldn't. She limps just a little bit, but you wouldn't know. So
really,
that put me on, like later on in life. That put me on a path to really figure out what's going on with the brain. I really wanted to study that part of it. But she got the most of it because I think my mom just never was able to let that go. It just forever.
Guilt?
Yes, the guilt forever. Yeah, so she got the most, but my brothers would, try to protect us and round us up and get us out of the house. And, it took a toll. I mean, it's like my, the brother who was, second to the oldest, ended up at the age of 22 getting knocked in the head, thrown in the river, and pulled out 8 days later and buried as a John Doe. The oldest brother who really protected us still is, in Salt Lake City, homeless shelter.
Homeless to this day.
Yeah, still in and out. He just Facebooked me a week ago using my dead brother's name. I was like, Danny Adam, that dude's dead. But it had my other brother's, face and everything. So I responded, how you doing? And you okay? And all that, the little bits that I can.
What do you think was the cause? If there was a cause, we all have our own responsibility.
Yeah.
Of course, whatever's happened. But what do you think were some of the things that caused them to go
to that way?
Down this
I mean, it really is. So when I teach mental martial arts, the whole, defend yourself against your toughest opponent. You
love that.
But it really is we come out of the womb already minus, already negative. When we're in the womb, the conversations that your mother has with other people and her emotion, all of that stuff, it's all connected, and our neurons are already starting to form stuff. So, and the first thing that we feel is negativity. I mean, we're in this womb and we're happy and we're fed and it's warm and we're still all that. And then you're getting pushed through this tunnel and it's all pain and lights and you're screaming. So you're already, at the negative. But from even before you're born, so, the brain is already starting to process what different things mean. All of our belief systems come from what we've seen and experienced. So if you're not paying attention to that, you're being programmed and you don't even know it. So growing up the way we grew up, my brothers and sisters, really didn't pay attention to it as much. And I watched my brothers and sisters go through drugs and jail and all that stuff. And I looked and I knew what not to do. I said drugs wasn't a good way for me to go and all that crap. I didn't want anything to do with that. So I learned kind of from that. And I thought my younger sister would learn it even more than me, because she's seen, she had more, but she was at the age to where she was 2 years younger than me, so she didn't see it and understand it the way I did, so she ended up being a bigger outlaw than all of them combined. I was like, what happened? Wow. What happened? But at some point, we all have to take responsibility, personal responsibility and all that crap that happened to you, and I teach now, it's like everything that happens to serve you. And just say that over and over again, and there's a reason behind it all. But it's hard to let all that go.
With that, though, because I mean, I know that's the truth.
Yeah.
And even knowing the truth, it's hard pill to
swallow. It's extremely hard to
that
accept.
Everything happens for you.
Yeah. Everything that happens to serve you.
Man, that's a tough pill.
And just these last 2 years have been really hard on me, to where I've had to use all my mental martial arts. But sometimes things happen to you, and I just sit back like he just said George Foreman and something like Muhammad Ali, and I let I just kind of leaned on the ropes like this, like Muhammad Ali, and did the rope-a-dope, and I just let life beat me up for a good year. Asking myself over and over again, do I deserve the punches? Do I deserve this? And mentally that you don't, but you say there has to, but what part of it is my responsibility? Even if it's 5% or 2% or 10%, somewhere I messed up something, somehow. And then
even when somebody else does something,
because
you're still have a responsibility.
Somewhere, some way, somehow you do. And then you get to the point to where you've taken enough licks to where it's time to get, to start punching back. And you start where I always say, one of the greatest gifts God gave us is time on earth. But the only 3 things that we have total 100% control over that God gave us is, what we put in our bodies, the things that we eat, whether it's, the good food, the healthy food, the drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. It doesn't matter. You have the responsibility of what you put in your body. That's your total control. What you do with your body, whether it's the acts of kindness that we do or the exercises that we do when we get up, and when we're tired, we say, no, push it anyway. So what you put in your body, what you do with your body, and the thoughts that you dwell on. That's the 3 only things that we have total control over. And it's the thoughts that you dwell on, because we all have those thoughts that just pop into our head, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, or whatever. But it's up to us to control how we dwell on it. Those thoughts are just pictures, because we think in pictures. So those pictures will turn into movies. And from our thoughts, from our pictures, that's what dictates our emotions. And from our emotions is what makes us take our actions. And from the actions is what we get our results. So it's like you try to just take one of those out of order, and you're wondering why things aren't changing or why you're getting the same result. And it's like, dude, you're having the same thought process.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and that's all actual, factual. I mean, there's a lot of research and science and study behind it to show that's true. How do you do it though, even when, look, we know a lot of the things to do.
Yeah.
And like you say, for a year you were kind of just how do you break free of that cycle? I mean, so say you're a little sister, right?
Yeah.
The littlest one who ended up, like you say, struggling more than anybody else.
Yeah.
What would you say to her if you could tell her right now how to get through that?
Yeah, it's
it's different with family, I get it.
It is,
totally
but
get it.
yeah, it really is. But and it's nothing.
You know mine, I know.
We know each other like really close.
Pretty well.
But it's and you can't really do anything for anyone until they're ready to do it for themselves. True. But it gets to the point. It's like Archimedes said, you know, give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it,
Yes.
and I can move the world.
Yes.
So if you kind of picture that, it's like, so you got this big world, whatever that is, whatever it is that you're trying to pick up, and you got this fulcrum, you know, and everyone knows what the fulcrum is, and so you got this little lever, and you're putting it on the fulcrum, and you're pushing. But the longer you can make that lever, the easier it gets to lift up whatever it is that you're trying to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm painting that picture for you. You can see it. So the longer you get it, no matter how big it is, whatever it is that you're trying to pick up, it's going to work. I mean, it's just whatever it is. So that lever is your why. Because when the why, you know, like my friend and best, you know, mentor Les Brown says, you know, when the why is big enough, the how don't matter. And you think about that. What does that mean? The how means like, you know, it's like, man, when the alarm goes off and we got to go to work, and it's like, hit the snooze button, you know, hit the snooze, and you drag it out as long as you can. But when the alarm goes off and you smell smoke, you're up instantly. There's a different why. You know, you put off paying the bills until you come home and go, oh shit. and now you're calling, you're borrowing money, you're doing whatever it takes, but you're paying it. You know, it's because the why is there. So unless you've got to put yourself in so much pain, and we all done. I used to do these all the time. When I do the dream boards, you know, we'd cut out these magazines, everything, you know, these big boats that we want, the house, the vacations, and all that stuff. And finally, it dawned on me. I was like, F that. You know, you don't need a dream board. You know, you need a nightmare board. You need a board that shows you everything that you're going to get if you don't get your ass up and take care of business. I said, because we do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. You know, because if you wanted all that sweet shit that you see on the dream board, you'd already have it. Right. You know, but we get comfortable, and comfort kills. So you've got to put yourself into enough pain that you're willing to at least start by writing it down. You know, writing is a direct line to the subconscious mind. So you got to write it down, and that's what makes that why longer. And you read that out, and you write it every day, and you read it out, and you got to keep reminding yourself.
Yeah, but then there's those that would say, but wasn't your sister, or isn't your sister, or wasn't your brother, weren't they in enough pain that they would want to do something?
Yeah, I mean,
what would stop them from doing it, even when the pain was so monumental?
Because they don't keep the pain applied. Everybody's
constantly stepping out of pain.
He's constantly stepping out, and Anthony Robbins teaches it great. But it's like when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, it's like to where you put your bounce buckle on. It's like, I'm tired of this. I'm going to do something different, because there's enough pain to make you do something different. So you join the gym, you get the food that you know that Dr. Bill's selling you, and the whole plan and everything. And so you do that for a week, and at the end of 2 weeks, the pants feel a little bit better, so the pain's not there. So it's like, I need to reward myself, and then you fall right back into it until you're back behind that 8 ball again. And you've got to keep yourself into that state of pain, reminding yourself, and you said it earlier, is you've got to know the outcome that you're trying to achieve. Yeah. So like a good coach, a good business coach, anything is like the greatest blue, we use maps. I use maps to get over here. You know, it's like, so as soon as you type in the address, the first thing that maps has to do is figure out where you are. I mean, you can tell it where you want to be, and it's like, all right, fine, all right. Hey, so people say, hey, Brian, here's what I want. Okay, man, great. We know where you want to go. We know the destination. We know what the outcome is. Where are you at? And it's like, oh, what do you mean, where am I at? And it's like, you know, get out of the shower, stand in front of the mirror, naked, and just, you know, be honest with yourself. You got to know exactly where you're starting, and then map it out. But you got to have the goals, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to know where you're at. Yeah. Definitely. And you got to be honest with yourself.
You got to be honest with yourself. Really at. Yeah. You don't got to beat yourself up about it. But
but you have to be honest.
Yeah. And most people aren't willing to be honest. They're you know, they don't want to get into that state of pain to where they admit that, like, I am screwed up.
Right. Let's go back to your family.
Yeah.
Your mom, where's she at?
Passed away.
How long ago did she pass away?
Oh man, I came back in 2005 when we met. So right there, as soon as we, she left, and God gave me you.
God gave me you.
Yes. Yeah, but my sister called me and said, Mom dead. And I was like, impossible. I just seen her a week ago before we left and moved back. Yeah, she's like, yeah.
What did she die from?
I mean, alcohol probably. Okay. I mean, really. I mean, but she had she had an operation. It was like, and we talked about it before I left. She was going in for an operation, something super minor. but she had to keep her arm in a sling so that it didn't get a blood clot. You know, so she did the operation, did all that stuff, but then got drunk. Yeah, and then she was found by cleaning lady like 3 days later, all kind of bloated. So that was like one of the things when we went back to the funeral. I don't know how, everybody, aunts and uncles and everybody's there, and they wanted to do a, open casket, everybody walks by and looks at it, and I had seen her and I was like, not a chance. I mean, she'll haunt me forever, because she was so freaking vain that if I let this be the last image of what people see, is like, I said, so, that's out of the question, and so then they all, like, a couple of my aunt and uncles, pulled me to the side and said, can the brothers and sisters at least do it, open it up and save it, and so we were okay with that, but,
And then the youngest sibling, where's she at?
She's still in North Carolina, still trying to stay out of jail.
Still struggling.
And she does. She has her good months, or and her bad ones, and just always has a reason for why she does.
Yeah.
There's always something.
And the reason I ask that is, one, because I know that we have a good relationship. And I know that some of the people don't have that relationship with you, but that's one thing I've always really admired about you, has been that you've been willing to share your story. You've been willing to share what you've gone through, how you've gone through. I mean, when my son was dealing with things, you were there. You were mentoring him. You were loving on him.
Love that guy.
And he still talks about you. So I mean, it's those kind of things. I think we just surrounding ourselves with people like you.
Yeah.
We talked about earlier, characteristics and behaviors that we like in people. One of mine is non-judgmental. People that have discernment, have wisdom, all that, but non-judgmental. They realize that we all have things going on in our lives, and some of them aren't pretty at any given point.
I don't try to change anybody. Like even like your son,
Right.
it's like I just try to meet them where they're at and accept them for who they are right now, where they're at, and then just kind of build a relationship, hopefully build a relationship, because I really am, just loving them. Like where you are right now, and it's like,
You're really
and then
good
kind
at
of
it, too.
show them like where you could be.
Yeah.
Like, and so maybe they see, they don't believe it, but they go, well, shit. If this guy kind of believes it, maybe I can.
And that's such a great point too. That sometimes our kids aren't going to learn from us nearly as well as they might learn from somebody else.
Yeah.
I remember being at this thing where Joe Montana was speaking, and some of you guys heard this, and he was speaking, and there was, about 10 of us guys afterwards standing there talking to him, and we're all having this conversation, and somebody asked him how your kid's doing, and he goes, I hired him a quarterback coach, and they're doing great. And he must have seen some of us were like looking around, and he must have seen something, because he turns and he goes, hey, my kids are no different than yours.
Yeah.
I am not the greatest quarterback to them.
Yeah.
I'm just dad.
Yeah.
And we're all like, oh yeah, we get that now. We're all on board with that. So, I think that's a great thing that you bring, and I've seen you bring people into your company and doing wood floors and helping people learn a trade that they could actually do something beyond just a job.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I'm really grateful to you for. You've got so your sister, and then the next one in line, the next one older.
I'm the second youngest. And my the sister who has the half a brain. She's probably doing better than all of us. I mean, she is the only one that graduated high school.
Wow.
Figure that out. And she did it in Salt Lake City at the age of probably 35 or
Serious?
40 or 40 or something. I don't know.
That's even more commitment, though.
Yeah, because I remember, I made a big deal about it. I flew out, spent the week with her, and we went all over Salt Lake City, and that Park City was, we were there and stuff. Yeah, beautiful. I sat in 110-degree heat watching her do her little cap and down stuff. Yeah, and I mean, even sitting there going, damn, she got half a brain, and she's the only one on all of them. Yeah.
What, and the next one?
Yes, above her would be the one that died at the age 22. My youngest daughter,
Did
Danielle,
they ever find out what happened?
Yeah, just got in a fight, messed up, and someone hit him, threw him in the river. Yeah. So yesterday, my wife says, God, she has a booked ticket for Hawaii. I said, all right, you're going to Hawaii. My friends are over there right now, and they're on Facebook telling me, Punk, get over here. We got a place for you to stay. Come on. and so she's like, hey, I got you on the flag, but when you come back Wednesday, and I'm like, not a chance, I'm not going without you, blah, blah, long story. So the whole story is,
Well, wait, exactly how did you say that? Because that was really well. When you told us all, we're like, oh, brownie points right there.
yeah, because and it was true. It's like, I told her, I said, I wouldn't be able to enjoy it, my first trip to Hawaii, if you're not there with me. I'll be going, man, I wish Blanca would see this, I wish Blanca would see it, we need to do all of it. And so we got plans of going and stuff. So we've already got the plane tickets before the Rona happened. But way back when I'm in South Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina, I'm just being a bum, not doing anything. I'm completely out of money. And my mom buys me a bus ticket from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm just being a lifeguard out there, just doing nothing. And I figured, man, if I'm going to be a bum the rest of my life, I should probably do it in Hawaii. And so, but I said, but shit, I'm pretty far from Hawaii. So I called my mom up. She gets me a Greyhound bus ticket to California. So I figured, well, I'll go to California. That's closer to Hawaii. I'll get a job, save some money, and then I'll get to Hawaii, and then I'll commence on being a bum. And that was the plan. So I get out here, and I'm on the freaking bus. I don't eat for like 3 days. And a buddy of mine picks me up and takes me to some like burrito place. That's the first time I ever had burritos. I'm like, I love Mexican food now. You ain't ate for 3 days, you'd love anything right now. So then I get a job at Kenny's Shoes. I don't know if you remember Kenny's Shoes.
Sure.
I was pretty damn good at it.
Sure.
And it's probably because they couldn't understand me. My country hick accent was so bad, they were just buying anything. But I'm saving up money to get my butt to Hawaii. And it's when my mom found out my brother was buried as a John Doe. And that just like crushed her. And I was like, man, there's no way I can leave now. And so I stayed another year and met somebody and just got trapped in California. Not a bad place to be trapped, but
yeah. And then, so, you know, you've lived this life. I mean, you've become an entrepreneur. You've done very well. You've had a lot of tragedy in your past. Mm-hmm. You've dealt with that.
I got a lot coming up too. It's not over.
That's right. It's not over as long as you're breathing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's more.
You're either in something, you're coming out of something, or you're headed for something. But it's there.
So true. So true. Brian, you know, what do you attribute your success to in your business? Because you've got a business that's really, people would love to have the type of business you have, the way you've set it up. Yeah. Versus it's a price to get to that, and you've paid that price. But what do you attribute your success to?
So I've sold a couple of businesses. As a business owner, your number one job is to replace yourself as quickly as possible. If you have to be there, it's not a business, it's a job. And you're working for yourself, and working for you sucks. You know, the best thing about being self-employed is you get paid exactly what you're worth. The worst thing about being self-employed is you get paid exactly what you're worth. And then that same thing, it goes with everything. Is if you don't know the outcome that you're looking to achieve, then you're never going to be able to get there. You know, Dante is one of my first black belts. Met him at the age of 13, and he's taken over one of the businesses that we have right now. Because I'm doing more stuff, helping other contractors grow their business and get to that same level of freedom. But to get there, I mean, it's like, and I tell everyone, there's no magic pill. There's no magic pill to losing weight. There's no magic pill to anything. It's every day getting up, taking, baby steps to get there. It's always 6 steps forward, 4 steps back. 6 steps forward, 4 steps back. It's just the way it is. But if you don't know those steps that you're taking and where you're heading, you're walking around blind. You've got to know, what it is. And then the business part of it is just, all the best marketing in the world is to satisfy the current client you have right now. It's like I play golf every Friday. I mean, I've been playing since 2000. Every Friday. I've missed a couple because I'm out speaking or doing something, and I play with some old friends. And I don't say they're old friends because we've known each other for 35 years. I say because they're old. One just turned, they're both 76, the other one's like 84, and they still kind of hit the ball further than me. But it's so you do that. But the main thing about the golf swing and stuff is like you got all this shit to think about. But the one thing that really matters is hitting the damn ball with the club first and foremost. And so there's some things in business that you just have to do, and satisfying that customer should be it. That should be all you're focusing on. Like when you're having a conversation with someone, you're focused on that person. You're not on your phone. You're not over here talking to this person. You're focused on that one person. So that one job that you have is all your attention should be there. It's like you've got all these other things going on, you're looking for the next job and all that other stuff, but when you start, a lot of times, whether it's, no matter what business it is, but you know, they'll say whatever it takes to get the job, they'll do whatever it takes to get that sale, to get that stuff, and then they're on to the next one. I'm like, no. Until this customer is 100% satisfied and becomes your best salesperson for life, then the job's not over with. You know, we get a lot of video testimonials for all my businesses, and I've got other contractors doing it now, and it makes a huge difference. And you can't get that unless they're happy.
Right. And what I've seen you do is do what you're doing, and then training and teaching other people how to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you could duplicate that.
Yeah.
You've got some systems, you've got some processes in place that are duplicatable, that literally anyone that was willing to pay the price and do it, they could do exactly what you're doing. I've really respected that a lot about you as well. You know, your commitment to your family, I mean, I've seen you, you know, Disneyland trips, all kinds of stuff. I mean, you're constantly doing something with the family. And even when you're doing the best, you can still have hiccups along the way.
Yeah.
And, you know, and family can do things, they can go sideways, they can do all kinds of things. How do you stay true to your north?
It sucks when life hits you below the belt. I mean, and if you're a guy and you get kicked in the nuts, I mean, you know, it's just your stomach, and that's what, you know, just life does, whether it's a friend or a family member, or even like right now, my daughter is like, and I'm hanging on, waiting for my daughter to come back. And I think that's what really keeps me going, is I got to be there for her for when she comes back. And all the stuff the pain that she's putting, you know, myself and mostly my wife through, is like, you got to kind of remember, you know, the younger her and the future her, and then just be right there for her right now.
The younger her and the future her.
Yeah, because the her right now, you know, hurts, but you got to kind of be there and be ready for her. Yeah, and it's not easy.
How do you take care of yourself during that time so that you are ready for her?
I told you about. I mean, you only got 3 things you can focus on. There's the only thing that's going to make a difference in your world and change your world is you. And those 3 things are the only thing that you can focus on. And you know, let myself go a little bit because I'm letting life beat me and throw the punches. But then when you've had enough and you say, yeah, okay, you know, enough is enough. You know, how do I change this? And it's those 3 things. What are you focusing on? What are your thoughts that you're dwelling on? What are you putting in your body? What are you doing with your body? Let all this other stuff around you just keep happening. Because the only thing you can do is you. And when you start getting outside of that, that's when you really get frustrated because you're not able to change someone, or someone didn't show up when they said they were going to show up, or, you know, all of that.
I'm going to open it up to you guys. You guys can ask some questions, make some comments, observations. Bill.
You know, the interesting thing you said about your life sucks sport?
Yes.
So it was interesting. There was actually a study done on that, because you always have the sunshine and unicorns.
Yeah.
Thinking that drives us, and it doesn't drive. You know, I think Wesley, we were talking about that meme about you can be brilliant with your coward.
Yeah.
I have that board on because I made a life sucks board. I put every nightmare that I've had in my life, because they show that the brain, when you're going, maybe I'll stay in bed just a little while. If that pops into your head, you gotta get up and move. The other thing that I liked what you said was 11. Your why. The thing that came out and said that your why is line up and you become the bigger person, then you can do whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So you're the doctor. So the body has 2 purposes: to reproduce and keep building those cells. So the brain has 2 purposes: keep you alive, keep you safe. That's it. All the other stuff is just BS to it. That's all it cares about, is keeping you alive and keeping you safe. I mean, when we think in pictures and all the other stuff, and everybody wants to focus on, but the brain is like, so you can sit there and meditate all day long, and that's just, you know, oh yeah, sunshine, rainbows, butterflies, and the brain doesn't pay anything attention to it. That's why a negative ad outsell a positive ad 10 to 1 every time, because, you know, the brain's walking past the newspaper stand and sees earthquakes or fires and COVID and everything else, and the brain's like, oh my God, what is it? I gotta keep this guy alive, I gotta keep him safe, what is it? But you have to be the one to decide what's life and death for you. To where you can, like for me, I was never gonna let my kids see me drunk or on drugs or on welfare or any of that stuff. I didn't want my girls, you know what I mean? It's like, me and Blanca have been together 34, 35 years now. And people say, oh, how you do it? And I was like, you find a woman that'll put up with you for 25 years and then spend the next 50 years making it up to her. But you know, the biggest thing was like, is I wasn't going to let my kids be raised by another man. So it's like, so I'd have to, you know, it's like,
so
when she says do something, you got to do it.
So the cost of
Yes,
not being that was going to be greater than what you were willing to pay.
Yeah, to where some people, it's just, you know, they're going to make it work no matter what it is, and all that stuff.
Wow.
So you got to keep yourself in that state of pain.
Who else? Comment, question?
So the younger you, you're one of 5 kids. At what age and at what point did it click for you that you can't turn out like your siblings or your parents?
Yeah, so we were talking earlier, and several of you guys were influenced by your parents, which is beautiful. The 2 biggest influencers in my life that I always looked to and said, that's who I want to be when I grow up, was Arthur Fonzarelli and Y Chain Kane from the TV show Kung Fu. And both of them. And I remember even as a kid, 8, 9, whatever, watching them. And the Fonz was cool because he could beat everybody up and they were afraid of him, but he never did. He just made them do what was right. And Kwai Chain was the same way. You know, he'd walk away humble. And he would let people beat him up, and I'd be in front of the TV screaming, "Get him, Kane! Get him, man! You can
Don't let him do that."
And he wouldn't do anything until they went and picked on someone else, and then he'd whoop them up. And I was like, "Man, yeah." And that just always stuck with me. And then when I did get here, and I don't make it to Hawaii, I was like, "Well, shit, what am I gonna do?" So I joined, martial arts, and so I attribute everything, who I am, everything to martial arts because it changed my inner game. It changed my. I took it when I was 16, but it confirmed that I was a quitter. So I joined at 16 in North Carolina, went for 3 months, and quit.
Confirmed that I was a quitter.
Yeah, because I had quit everything. I'd go to baseball. I would join baseball in spring and go to a couple of games or practices and end up quitting. And I remember vividly. One year, all the coaches, about 6 or 8 coaches around picking all these kids from the neighborhood, and I was like one of the last kids to be picked. They're like, "Who's picking Brad?" And one of the coaches like, "Doesn't matter, he's going to quit." And they didn't know I heard him or whatever. It's like, but sure enough, and it wasn't because I didn't want to play the game, but my mom would show up drunk and cuss, and it's like the embarrassment. You'd always quit. So even karate, I went for 3 months and ended up quitting. So I come out here and I joined this studio. And like 3 months later, I get the test for yellow belt. So it's white, yellow, orange, purple, green, brown, black. But the guy tells me, he goes, "Hey, man, you're doing really good, blah, blah, blah. You had those 3 months in North Carolina. We're going to apply those here. We're going to let you skip yellow belt and go to orange belt." And I'm like, whoa. So then all my friends are coming and we do this test. I get my orange belt and they're high-fiving me and asking me all this crap. And I'm not listening to any of it because in my head, I'm thinking, shit, I didn't quit. Man, I didn't quit. And it was like, and matter of fact, they even took the other 3 months, so I really didn't even quit there. I got to apply that to this. Maybe I'm not a quitter, and I'm looking up at all these belts.
Maybe I'm not a
quitter. Yeah, and I'm looking at these belts going, I'm gonna get a black belt. And the other part of my brain is saying, don't tell nobody, that's stupid. You can't get no black belt. Look where you came from, this and that. And I was like, no, man, I can get a black belt. It's like, you can't get no black belt? You didn't even finish the 9th grade. How you gonna get a black belt? And it's like, I'm like, Chuck Norris got a black belt, I'm gonna get a black belt. You ain't Chuck Norris, you ain't nowhere. So I said, man, I just told myself, if I just keep paying the money and showing up, they'll give me a black belt. Just show up and pay them every month, I'm gonna get a black belt. So, but it was through that I kept thinking, it was like, man, okay. So that little bit of click made me question my beliefs of I was, a quitter and wasn't gonna amount to anything because of where I came from. And then I just kept going and then even in construction, at the end of the day, you'd see what you did, and you go, "Oh man, that made you feel pretty good." You can't fake self-esteem. This bullshit of giving away trophies is the worst thing you can do for kids. Is you cannot. There's no easy pills. I mean, you've got to go through the struggles. You've got to go through the pain to appreciate it, to know that you're there, to know that you did something. Yeah. And I know Glenn Morshire says is your buddy. He had said once is most people don't want to get to that next level because they're comfortable being where they're at. And in karate, it's really like that, man. So you get your orange belt or whatever it is, you get your orange belt, and then like a couple of weeks later, a couple of months later, you're like the best orange belt there. And then if you stay at orange belt for like a year, now you're like
a master.
Yeah, you're like the master orange belt, right? It's like, well, I don't want to go to the other belt.
Right, you start over,
yeah, 'cause
over
you're
at the
starting all
bottom.
over again. Yeah, so you're at the bottom. So I'm always like, man, always keep yourself at the bottom. Always keep yourself climbing. Always, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? And it doesn't diminish what you did before.
Right.
But yeah, I was at freaking CrossFit last week, and we're doing these freaking lunges. And I'm like so mad going, shit, that ain't fair. And I'm like, fair is where you go see the pigs. And the guy's like, what do you mean?
Where you go to see the
Yeah,
pigs?
I said, what do you mean it's not fair? I'm like,
that.
I said, I've been doing karate over 35 years. I said, you know how many thousands of lunges I've done? And I don't get credit for any of it. It's like, those were yesterday. I only get credit for the ones I'm doing right now. And that's frustrating. But it's like, it's like, no, it's like, you keep saying about what you did yesterday. It's like, dude, it's over with. It's over with. Good, bad, or ugly. You know, it's like, and the bad is usually better, because that's where it's like, I believe we're here on earth, so if you were born in heaven, you stayed in heaven, streets are gold, all the stuff, there's no pain, there's no way to grow without the pain. I mean, we almost have to come here to experience the pain and to feel it all so that you can go back and experience and go, now you go, wow, okay, yeah. But then you want to come back and grow some more, you start missing the pain or whatever.
So, what did you fall in love with first about Blanca? What made you fall in love with her first?
Do a whole comedy bit on this. I can't, profanity though, I'll leave it out. But when we first met, so we met at the Red Onion. I'm not the oldest one in here, so I know some of y'all know it.
Yep.
So she was a waitress, and it was her last night. She wasn't even working anymore. And I was there by accident. I used to go all the time, but I grew up, I was out of that. But a friend of mine said, hey, I want you to, she was owned a hair salon. So I want you to be the model. I'm gonna do your hair, blah, blah, blah. She put some makeup on me and some shit. And I'm like, oh my God. And so now I'm talking to this Blanca girl who's beautiful. And I'm sitting here going, shit, my hair's messed up and I'm wearing makeup. It's like, not a chance. But I had told her, I said, I don't know if she came up to me, I must have approached her or something. But I asked her, I said, man, who's babysitting? And she was like, oh my God. And she said, he's like, he must have been asking about me, but how'd you know I got a baby? And I'm like, you're Mexican and 18. And she liked it. We've been together ever since. She's like, yeah. But everybody else is following over and all this other stuff. And I was acting like I didn't care. But so we've had a weird relationship ever since.
But I mean, it's been a long time, and you've weathered some storms. I mean, your business probably wasn't always great. No. And there were probably some lean times, some struggles, some challenges. Yeah. And yet, you guys have weathered those storms. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, mostly her. Yeah, she'll tell you. Probably 90% of it, maybe 80, but more like 90. And she says, even then, that night at the Red Onion, she says that, like we were soulmates and all this other stuff. And she knew then she didn't see this 21-year-old young punk. She seen a 45-year-old with gray hair. It's like, right now I want to dye my hair. And she's like, no, I've been waiting 40 years for this. Don't you touch it. But she had seen, and I think, as we were going around the table, she had said that, the kindness of how I treated other people is what really, endeared her to me or whatever. Yeah. And we both had, kind of screwed up families and childhoods. So we kind of, had that going for us.
She's one of those people that I've met, and I've met her several times now over the years.
Yeah.
But she's
slept together.
She's tough. She's tough. Yeah. I mean, she's got that mental toughness, and yet she's got that softness about her as well. And I really have just really respected that and really appreciated that about her when she's talking about her family, or when we've talked about your guys' meeting and over the years. Just like, man, she's got that mental toughness that you talk about in your seminar. Yeah. But she's got that. I remember in 1985, I was given this book called Man of Steel and Velvet. And then how can you be a man that has the steel, but also has that velvet, and that's that fine combination. And whenever I see that in somebody, I always reflect back on that book. Like, that's an accomplishment to have both of those. And I've seen that with you, and I've seen that, you know, with Blanca as well. But any other final question, comment? Flo, you normally have a question.
He was answering it.
Oh.
Really, 'cause I was gonna say, you keep the negative in me. I mean, it's there, but you keep
Do
it.
I?
Do I?
I really, I don't try to keep it at bay. I usually try to keep it in front of me as a carrot.
Wow.
Of a reminder of what either things could be worse, or, you know, if I don't do certain things and take certain actions, you know, where they're gonna, you know, what could be next.
Someone's asked you to.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So how long are you gonna keep with the martial arts?
What's that again?
How long will you stay with martial arts?
Oh man, I am martial arts. I mean, that's me. That's, like, can't separate it. It's like the guys that are in Hawaii right now who's bugging me to come over was, you know, or my martial art guys, and then shit, I'm fighting in July in Vegas.
You are?
Yeah. Training.
A real fight?
Well, yeah, it's points and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
and the big goal is to you know, buy some land somewhere, Texas, Georgia, whatever, and do a big pole barn martial arts school, and just let people from all over the world come and train. Because right now I get to go into studios all over the place, and it's really fun because I've been extremely fortunate in martial arts to grow up from 83, 84 till now in LA with an open mind of everyone knew more than me, going to every imaginable style I could, and just walking in, you know, super humble, and everybody's always nice. They always treat you as family, but to learn from some of the people that I've learned from has just, you know, been, you know, a true blessing.
Yeah.
To where now I'm able to go to other studios, and within a matter of minutes, just tweaking them just a little bit can open their eyes to a whole different way of doing things.
Yeah.
And
I love that community that you've got with
Yeah.
that. You know, I mean, like you say, when you go to some places,
Yeah.
like when I introduced you to John Hackman.
Yeah,
right?
at
I mean,
Pismo,
we sat
yeah.
down, we had coffee.
And he's from my same style. He's from
Right.
Hawaii, all of it.
And yet you guys
We
were
haven't
just
met
like,
before, except for you.
there's just this connection.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool to kind of
Because
witness.
he's got the whole thing like no bullies or
Yeah,
beat the bully's ass or something.
Don't let anyone steal your lunch.
Yeah, don't let somebody
Yeah.
because he was bullied as a
Yeah,
kid.
bullied in Hawaii. So, well, you know, Brian, I just want to thank you again for your friendship over all these years, your willingness to be the man that you are. How would you like people to connect with you? I mean, you're a member of Next Level by Association, so you've got that. But I mean, like, do you have any products, any events coming up that they can plug into, or what are some things, ways that they can play with you?
Business-wise, I'm right in the middle of writing like my fourth or fifth book, but it's dominate your trade, kick your competition's ass. You know, more leads, better projects, higher profits. And it really is about dominating whatever industry you're in. And with today's technology, just makes it way easier. So when the book started out, it was almost like a digital marketing book, how to use Google and YouTube and all this other stuff, and video and testimonial, all of that stuff. But then as I'm writing it, I'm like, man, that's just not right. It's like everything is, and you say it all the time, everything is connected to everything. So I went back, and now I'm just like redoing the whole thing and starting it from the first concept in your mind of you want to be a business owner, and I'm taking it from there all the way up. Like, what's the first thing you should do, and all that stuff, and start with the free stuff. But it really is how to dominate your industry. I'm excited about that, and I'm doing a podcast right now. It was every other week, and I'm going to kick it up to every week. I had a guy call me yesterday from Myrtle Beach. He's got you can download it on. It's on all the TV. You can download it as an app or something. But he's got his own like media network.
Nice.
And he needs content. And he's like, hey man, I've seen
There you go.
these things. I want you to, you know, it's like a TV show type of deal. So I don't know, see what happens. But I really, you know, I get a lot of joy of helping business owners and watching them grow.
Yeah.
It's just, it's crazy. And you get it all the time. When you get the emails and the other stuff, and you know, they get
Yeah.
some big highs that they've reached, and
Sure.
some sales that they've made, and they try to say that it's you or I, and I'm like, dude, you did it.
Right.
I
You did the work.
Yeah,
You did all the heavy
yeah,
lifting.
I threw some hints in there, and you took
Right.
the action, and,
Yeah.
that's what it means, is taking the action. That's fun.
Well, man, I'm grateful for you, and I love you, brother. I appreciate you, who you are, as well as all the things you do for so many different people, including myself. So thank you for that.
Appreciate it,
All
brother.
right, brother. Good to see you, man. All right, guys. At home, this will be online, so you guys will be able to see this later on today. If you have any comments, make comments there. We'll make sure that Brian sees them there.